Hey guys, this is QXC. I'm going to be taking a look at and talking about the grand finals that were played in the EG Masters Cup not too long ago. So I am Root QXC, spawning as the blue Terran in the bottom left-hand corner, playing against Nova Stalife as the red Terran in the top right-hand corner. Map is Xel'Naga Caverns. Just a note for anyone who's not familiar, Nova and Root are both gaming teams. I play for Root Gaming, our website, root-gaming.com. Go check us out. And Stalife plays for Team Nova. So matchup is TVT. It's a best of 5, and not too much going on right now. Often on Xel'Naga, well, not often, but occasionally on Xel'Naga Caverns, you do see early marine aggression, like 2 racks built near your opponent's base, or 1 rack's built near your opponent's base and 1 rack's in your main, in order to do some kind of early pressure. I'm going for a very standard opening, barracks 12 supply. I'm going to take my gas very shortly here. Stalife is opting for gas geyser before barracks, indicating usually some kind of early tech build. Generally goes to Banshees. So my scout is going to get in his base and see that his barracks is a little bit delayed and his gas geyser is really early, and I'll just kind of keep in mind the possibility for very early Banshees as I'm doing my play. It's not really going to change what I'm doing too drastically, but it is something to just watch out for and be aware of. SCV is just kind of hanging out at this point. One thing I did expect, you can see I pulled some SCVs off the line. When I initially scouted his base, I saw he had gas, but I didn't see the barracks. So I actually thought he had done some kind of proxy, so I was getting ready to pull SCVs to my ramp in order to defend. You can see his factory is a good 30 seconds faster than mine or so. I haven't even though I have 100 gas, I didn't start it right away because I didn't quite have the resources for it. Opting for this supply depot first so that I don't get supply suck at all. At this point, I decided I'm going to move out and at least control the watchtowers for a little bit. Once the Hellions out, I'm going to back up. So I'm getting the early reactor because I figure if he's going early Banshees, Marines are a good thing, and it also gives me good opportunities to counterattack. Take my early second gas because I'll need it. I don't want to just opt for turrets. Turrets are a little too defensive. I'd rather get maybe Vikings or a Raven in order to deal with Cloak. One thing that's a little interesting here is most of the time when players do this kind of build, they do build a bunker. Because it is fairly risky. You can see he only has 4 Marines here. If I had just built Marines, I would have 4 or 5 at this point, plus my Hellion, which would already be out. I guess it's a little close, but it's not too bad. Here we see him scouting with the Hellion, so my goal here, I don't know what I was doing with this, but I do want to try and pick off his Hellion if I can. I did take a little bit too much damage, so it would be really hard for me to actually kill the Hellion. About a 50-50 toss-up since we both have the same amount of health, but he is closer to his base, so he would have more options there, so I just back up. I'm going to get a Viking, keep making Marines. Generally speaking, when you do this kind of build, you do sacrifice a bit of your economy, and you make the other parts of your army a little bit smaller. You can see in the unit counting station, I have 1 less Hellion. No, I have the same number of Hellions, 1 more Marine, a Viking, and a couple more SCVs. But I also have the reactor, on my starport. So here, I was going to move out and scout with my Hellion, and I see he's attacking me. So a little miss micro by him. I'm not sure quite what he was thinking. My objective here is I want to spread my Marines and make a little arc to minimize the amount of damage that the Hellions do. And now I just don't want the Hellion to escape. Doing a little bit of stutter step. Little miss micro by him there. I'm not sure what happened. I'm going to keep producing the Raven. I'm going to get that out. And I'm going to go scout with the Viking because I'm not sure. I know he did a little bit of an unconventional build, and I'm not sure exactly what he could have out at this point. Take a look at the army tab. I am way, way ahead. This is one of those spots where a spectator would be like, why doesn't QXC just win? And the answer is, since he's doing a build that I'm a little bit unfamiliar with, I don't know how much he had to sacrifice to make that attack work, and what he could have back at his base. And so I didn't know if there would be another Banshee coming, and then I would leave my base and have to deal with... I just didn't want to take any unnecessary risks for what I was doing. And you can see the auto turret here. I actually used it to help deal with a Banshee earlier on that was running around my base. I feel like I'm in a really good spot, and I didn't feel like I needed to push out right away. I felt like I could scout with the Viking, figure out what was going on, and then make a good decision, and I wouldn't have lost my opportunity. I ended up being right. Sometimes that kind of decision making will lose games because the opportunity to attack is quite fragile and quite small. And this is, again, like, I didn't know exactly what he had, and my Viking only had 6 health left, so I couldn't really spot with it. But again, I could have just won here. You can see the difference. I guess in retrospect, upon seeing this game again, I need to be a little more aggressive in scouting and a little more confident in my own calculations. It was one of those positions like I knew I could win and I knew I was way ahead. I just didn't know exactly how I was going to do it. So I do go for the delayed cloak Banshee. One thing about these early Banshee builds is oftentimes they'll skip detection if you don't get Banshees right away. They just won't ever get it. So I get this early cloak Banshee and start to put on the pressure. What actually probably would have been the best move here is pick off the tanks and then just rush him with my army. I think that would have been a simpler victory. I am forgetting to get some upgrades back at home, and I don't quite have as much gas as I'd like. But the reality is it doesn't matter a whole ton. He's pretty well contained in his base. My economy is quite a bit better because I have two orbitals mining off 2 sets of patches. I've got more production going, and I've got an extremely aggressive, powerful position on him. So you can see he is trying to draw me here, and I think the Banshee saw it, but I'm not sure if I saw it. But I do have a couple of Marines back home. I'm not really worried about this. And between the Viking and Raven spotting, I'm making it very tough for him to actually move out and do anything to me. And here we see Stalife. It says GG. I use the auto turrets to finish off this last tank. His drop is spotted and can't really do a whole lot. And the game is over, so I move into game 2 after a pretty decisive victory.